The stars stretched endlessly above the massive orbital station. Bright lights glimmered across the docking bays, reflecting off polished metal surfaces. Ships from dozens of galaxies hovered in the distance, waiting for their owners to join the biggest event of the century, the intergalactic auction. Inside the main hall, thousands of beings from every corner of space gathered. Tentacles, wings, scales, and claws filled the room. The chatter was a mix of clicks, hums, roars, and voices no human could ever hope to imitate. Every species had come to bid on the rarest prize of all, aliens themselves. Slaves. Not exactly. These were living beings, prized for their skills, their power, or their uniqueness. But today something unusual filled the stage. The auctioneer, a sleek, multi-eyed creature with golden horns, raised its voice over the din. Welcome, collectors of the galaxy. Today we have a special collection of defective aliens. A hush fell over the crowd. Defective? That word alone could ruin the value of the most magnificent alien. Whispers spread like fire. Defective, one tentacle-bearing merchant muttered. Who would buy a defective alien? Among the crowd, one human stood quietly. His name was Captain Elias Ward. Unlike most humans, Elias had no desire for glory or wealth. His ship, the Starbound Pioneer, was small, old, and barely worth a glance. Yet his eyes gleamed with curiosity. Defective aliens, the auctioneer continued, are beings that have unexpected traits. They fail in ways most buyers consider undesirable. Some may not obey perfectly. Some may explode when angry. Some may even grow too fast or change colors unexpectedly. The crowd laughed nervously. Aliens that could explode? Grow uncontrollably? How could anyone want such creatures? Elias leaned closer. He didn't see defects. He saw possibility. Humans, small and fragile among the stars, often survived because they adapted. They turned weakness into strength. And he sensed that these so-called defective aliens might just be the perfect partners for someone who knew how to use them. The first alien rolled onto the stage. It was a tall, lean creature, covered in shimmering blue scales. Its eyes blinked in patterns no human could decode. When the auctioneer tried to lift its arm, it hissed and lashed out, narrowly missing a merchant's claw. The crowd murmured. Dangerous, someone whispered. Defective indeed, another said. Bid after bid, the creatures were dismissed. The price dropped lower and lower, the room buzzing with disbelief. Finally, the auctioneer looked out at the audience, one eyebrow raised. And now the entire lot. All defective aliens. Sold as a package. Minimum bid, 50,000 credits. Silence. Even the wealthiest collectors hesitated. All of them? Defective aliens together? Who would take such a risk? Elias raised his hand calmly. 50,000 credits, he said. His voice was steady, almost polite. Gasps echoed across the hall. One of the richest alien tycoons hissed. A human? A puny human dares buy all of them? Elias smiled faintly. I don't see puny, he replied. The auctioneer banged the gavel. Sold. To Captain Elias Ward of Earth. For a moment the room froze. Then chaos erupted. Some merchants shouted in outrage. Others muttered that the human would regret this foolishness. Elias, however, remained calm. He stepped forward, signing the contracts with a pen no alien had ever seen before. His human hand shook slightly, but his mind was steady. Soon the defective aliens were loaded onto his ship. Each had a mind of its own. Some refusing to cooperate, others growling or hissing in warning. Elias walked among them carefully, studying their features. The first alien, the blue-scaled one, eyed him suspiciously. Its tail flicked with irritation. Elias extended a hand slowly. I'm not your enemy, he said softly. The alien tilted its head, watching him. After a tense moment, it stepped forward, almost as if testing him. Next, a tiny alien with translucent skin and 4 arms darted around, muttering in a high-pitched language. It kept tripping over its own legs. Another seemed to hum constantly, vibrating so strongly that a nearby crate shook. Humans were not the strongest in the galaxy. They were not the fastest. They were not the most intelligent. But humans had strategy. They adapted. And Elias had a plan. He spent hours observing each alien, taking careful notes. Where others saw weakness, he saw unique traits that could be combined. One alien's uncontrolled growth could provide muscle beyond imagination. Another's tendency to hum could generate energy when amplified. A creature that exploded when angered? Controlled properly, it could be a weapon unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. By the time the station's lights dimmed, Elias had formed a rough strategy. His small human mind buzzed with calculations, ideas, and possibilities. For the first time in his life, he felt hope. Not just survival, but power. Yet even as he plotted, a shadow loomed in the corner of the cargo bay. A faint hum of machinery, a whisper in an alien tongue. Someone, or something, was watching him. Elias froze, listening. The aliens themselves seemed to sense it. Their so-called defects didn't make them blind to danger. One hissed, another bared its teeth. And then he realized, the galaxy would not let a human succeed so easily. Someone, somewhere, would want to take his defective lot by force. He clenched his fists. Let them try, he muttered. They have no idea what humans can do. As the starbound pioneer prepared to jump into hyperspace, the defective aliens stirred. Some hissed, some clicked, some sang. Elias watched them carefully, knowing the real challenge was just beginning. These aliens were unpredictable, powerful, dangerous, and possibly the key to changing the galaxy forever. And somewhere in the shadows of the auction hall, someone smiled. A collector who had underestimated the human. This was going to be more interesting than they ever imagined. The stars blurred as the ship leapt forward, carrying with it a human and his defective crew. A force the galaxy had never seen before. The starbound pioneer glided silently through the darkness of space, leaving the glittering orbital station far behind. Inside, Captain Elias Ward stood at the center of his small command room, eyes scanning the aliens who had been called defective by the galaxy's richest collectors. At first glance, they seemed chaotic. The blue-scaled alien paced nervously, its tail knocking over crates. The tiny four-armed creature scampered in every direction, bumping into walls. The humming alien vibrated so strongly that small sparks flew from the control panels. Even the supposedly dangerous, explosive alien seemed restless, twitching and growling at random intervals. Most humans would have panicked. Most humans would have abandoned the lot. But Elias saw something different, potential. Each of these aliens had a unique power, hidden behind a flaw that no one had understood. And Elias was a human, small, weak, underestimated, but smart enough to turn weakness into strength. He started with the blue-scaled alien. You're strong, Elias said quietly, reaching out his hand. But you don't trust anyone. I can change that. I can help you control your anger. The alien hissed but didn't lash out this time. Elias had learned patience was key. He spent hours mimicking its movements, learning how it reacted to light, sound, and touch. Slowly, the alien's movements became more controlled. It still had a temper, but now Elias could anticipate it. Next was the tiny four-armed alien. Its legs were unsteady, and it tripped constantly, muttering in its high-pitched language. Elias realized that if he could teach it balance, it could become extremely fast and agile, a perfect scout. Using small exercises in zero gravity, Elias helped it navigate obstacles, rewarding small successes with food, something every alien, even defective ones, responded to. The humming alien was trickier. Its constant vibrations disrupted electronics, and the noise made even Elias' ears ache. But when Elias observed it, he noticed something remarkable. The vibrations were rhythmic. He could amplify them, channeling the energy into the ship's systems. The humming alien was a living power source. By connecting its vibrations to the ship's energy core, he increased the Pioneer's speed and weapon output far beyond standard specs. Even the explosive alien, the most feared, could be controlled. It reacted violently when angry or threatened, making most buyers back away in fear. Elias realized the alien wasn't violent by nature, it was reactive. Using a combination of gestures, calm tones, and careful positioning, he created a system where the alien could release its explosive energy safely, like a controlled weapon. One mistake and it could destroy the ship. But controlled correctly, it could level an enemy fleet. Days passed. The aliens, once dismissed as useless, began showing coordinated behavior. They communicated through gestures, vibrations, and subtle cues Elias had never seen before. Slowly, a strange kind of loyalty developed. They were still wild, unpredictable, and dangerous, but they listened, sometimes. Elias knew this was only the beginning. Humans were never the strongest in direct combat. They were never the fastest or the most durable. But humans had strategy, adaptation, and ingenuity. And he intended to use every advantage he had. The first test came sooner than expected. As the starbound Pioneer traveled through a normally quiet sector, the sensors detected an approaching ship, a sleek, black vessel belonging to the Intergalactic Mercantile Guild, one of the richest and most ruthless organizations in the galaxy. A voice crackled over the comms. "Human. Captain Ward. Surrender the defective lot immediately. You've been reported for illegal purchase. Hand over the aliens or face consequences." Elias smiled faintly. The galaxy had underestimated him, again. "Not today," he muttered. The mercantile ship fired first. Energy beams slashed through space, aiming straight at the small Pioneer. Most humans would have panicked, but Elias had already prepared. He activated the humming alien's power link with the ship. Vibrations amplified through the hull, dispersing some of the enemy's energy blasts. The blue-scaled alien lunged forward, its strength now focused and precise. It smashed a small boarding pod before it even reached the Pioneer's hull. The explosive alien released a controlled burst, creating a shockwave that forced the enemy ship to retreat temporarily. The tiny four-armed scout zipped through narrow corridors, sabotaging the enemy's boarding clamps. By the time the mercantile forces realized what was happening, they were already outmatched. They hadn't expected a human using defective aliens as a coordinated team. When the attack ended, Elias looked at his crew. The aliens were battered and exhausted, but they had survived. They had adapted. They had worked together, under a human's guidance. For the first time, Elias felt something he hadn't expected: pride. The galaxy saw humans as weak, defenseless, unworthy. But here, in the dark void of space, humans could be far more dangerous than anyone imagined. One clever human could turn chaos into order, weakness into strength. But Elias also knew this was just the beginning. The Mercantile Guild wouldn't forget this humiliation. Other powerful factions would notice a human who had bought the defective aliens and made them lethal. Soon, every corner of the galaxy would be watching, and not all watchers would be friendly. Back in the Pioneer's command room, Elias gathered the aliens. They didn't understand words fully, but they understood purpose. Together, they had survived the first challenge. Together, they could face the next. Elias tapped a console, projecting a holographic star map. "The galaxy thinks it can control who survives," he said, voice steady. "It doesn't know humans. It doesn't know me. And it doesn't know all of you." The blue-scaled alien hissed softly, as if in agreement. The tiny four-armed scout clicked and chirped. Even the explosive one growled, but this time it was a warning to others, not to Elias. They were no longer defective. They were a team. A weapon. A force the galaxy would never expect. And somewhere far away, the richest collectors, the guild leaders, and the interstellar tyrants began whispering. "A human controlling all of them? Impossible. But we have to stop him." Elias didn't hear the whispers. He didn't need to. He had a ship, a crew, and an idea. The galaxy might underestimate him now. But soon, they would learn exactly what a human could do when no one expected it. And as the Pioneer jumped into hyperspace, carrying a human and his defective aliens toward the unknown, Elias knew the real journey was just beginning. The starbound Pioneer drifted through the dark void, carrying Elias Ward and his defective crew deeper into uncharted space. The galaxies behind them were filled with whispers, some of awe, some of fear. A human had done the impossible, bought a collection of creatures dismissed by the galaxy, and turned them into a team no one could control. But power attracts attention, and attention often brings danger. Elias sensed it first. A strange signal pinged the ship's sensors, subtle, almost hidden, but deliberate. Someone was watching them, tracking their every movement. He called his crew together, though most of them didn't understand words fully. They didn't need to. Their instincts were sharp, and they knew danger when it approached. "This is no ordinary patrol," Elias said, tapping the holographic map. "We've drawn a target. Someone wants us gone. But we're not weak. We're ready." The first sign of betrayal came sooner than expected. A former ally from the auction, a tall, sleek alien trader, had secretly contacted the Mercantile Guild. Their message was simple. The human is dangerous. Stop him before he grows stronger. Before Elias could anticipate it, a fleet of black ships appeared on the edge of the Pioneer's sensors. Dozens of vessels, armed and ready, were moving to intercept. They weren't just hunters. They were predators, aiming to capture or destroy the human who dared defy the galaxy's elite. Elias didn't panic. He had trained his defective crew for this. They were unpredictable, yes, but also loyal in their strange, alien way. The blue-scaled alien took the lead, smashing smaller ships with precise strikes of strength. Its movements were faster than anyone expected, muscles bulging beyond normal capacity. Even the most experienced alien generals could not anticipate its attacks. The tiny four-armed scout darted through enemy lines, sabotaging engines, cutting wires, and tripping sensors. Its agility made it nearly invisible to the attacking fleet. The humming alien was next. Elias had enhanced its vibrations further, linking it directly to the ship's weapon systems. Each hum sent energy pulses that overloaded enemy shields and disrupted targeting arrays. The attackers were unprepared for a human using a living energy generator as a weapon. And then came the explosive alien. It waited, patient, its deadly potential held in check. When the enemy fleet tried to board, Elias gave the signal. Controlled blasts ripped through the hulls of several ships at once, sending debris spinning into the void. Chaos erupted among the attackers. They had expected a human to be weak, to crumble under pressure. Instead, they faced an unpredictable force unlike anything in the galaxy. But even with their success, Elias knew the battle was only beginning. The galaxy would adapt. It would send stronger fleets, smarter enemies, and even assassins who thought they could take him by surprise. That night, in the silence of the Pioneer, Elias reflected. "They think humans are fragile," he muttered. "They've never faced ingenuity, patience, and creativity combined with survival instinct. That's what humans are." And he was right. Humans were never the strongest in raw power, but they adapted faster than any alien. They could turn chaos into strategy. They could turn weakness into strength. The next betrayal came from someone even closer. One of the auction's other buyers, a seemingly harmless alien scientist, offered Elias a truce. But it was a trap. Under the guise of friendship, the scientist attempted to hack into the Pioneer systems, aiming to take control of the defective crew. Elias noticed immediately. Humans had instincts honed for survival, and his eyes caught a subtle shimmer on the console. A faint trace of alien coding meant to override the ship. With a swift movement, he disconnected the scientist remotely, shutting down the hack before any harm could occur. "You underestimate humans," Elias said quietly. The aliens around him sensed his anger, but also his calm. They trusted him. Their loyalty was forged through patience, through understanding, and through survival together. The battles grew more frequent. Each attack from the galaxy's elite was met with more cunning from Elias. He began combining alien abilities in ways the galaxy had never imagined. Explosive blasts paired with controlled vibrations, fast strikes coordinated with raw strength. Each time, the galaxy's fleet retreated, humiliated. Word of a human who commanded defective aliens spread quickly. Fear replaced doubt. Collectors who once laughed at the auction now whispered in secret. Merchants who thought themselves untouchable reconsidered every deal. And Elias? He kept moving forward, never boasting, never seeking glory. Only survival, only mastery of his team, only preparation for the next challenge. Then came the ultimate test. A massive fleet, commanded by the Intergalactic Council itself, moved to confront him. Hundreds of ships, armed with weapons designed to obliterate a planet, approached the Pioneer. Even for the most seasoned alien fleets, this was overwhelming. But Elias was ready. He had trained his defective crew to perfection. He had learned every quirk, every strength, every flaw. And he had something the galaxy had forgotten. Humans think differently. The Pioneer dove into battle, weaving through enemy fire. The blue-scaled alien smashed key command ships, the Scout sabotaged engines and communication arrays, the humming alien amplified energy to overload weapons, and the explosive alien struck at the most critical targets. Every move was unpredictable, every attack unconventional, and every reaction perfectly timed. By the end of the battle, the Council's fleet was in disarray. Their ships drifted in the void, systems failing, engines offline. They had underestimated the human factor. Intelligence, creativity, and courage combined with loyal allies. Elias stood on the bridge of the Pioneer, looking at the stars. His defective crew had become unstoppable. Not because they were perfect, but because he had turned imperfection into a weapon. Humans are small, he said softly, almost to himself. But that doesn't matter. The galaxy measures power incorrectly. Strength isn't just muscle, it's mind, strategy, and will. The galaxy had learned a hard lesson. Never underestimate a human. Especially one who understood how to turn defects into advantages. And so, Captain Elias Ward and his crew of so-called defective aliens became a force that would reshape the galaxy. They weren't just survivors. They were innovators. They were strategists. They were a reminder that the smallest, weakest species could rise above the strongest, the fastest, and the most powerful, if they used their greatest weapon, their mind. In the dark emptiness of space, the Pioneer moved forward, carrying humans and aliens together into unknown territories. The galaxy would chase, betray, and challenge them endlessly. But Elias knew one truth that no one else had understood. Humán adaptado. Humán surviva. And humans, even the weakest, can rise to become legends. And as the stars blurred past the viewport, Elias smiled. The galaxy had underestimated him. And that mistake would echo forever.